Hi everyone. Today we are here with Dr. Soumya Sarint, a specialist in pediatrics and neonatology at Medcare Hospital. Hi, Dr. Soumya. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Thank you. So, coming to my first question, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and what motivated you to pursue a career in pediatrics?
I'm Dr. Soumya Sarin. Currently, I'm working as a specialist pediatrician at Medcare Hospital, Sharjah, for the past 3 years. So, I'm basically from India and I did my post graduation, everything in India only. And I was working there for around 15 years. After that, in 2023, I relocated to UAE and started working at Medcare. And why I choose pediatrics is mainly because I just love children. And more than that, according to me, the best sight or the most beautiful sight in the world is a smile, innocent smile of a child. And as you know, whenever a child gets sick, the first thing to disappear, their smile. So they won't be smiling whenever they are sick. So our job is to treat them well and to bring back that smile to their faces. Whenever they are smiling, the whole family starts smiling. So it is very rewarding, and comparing all the other specialities, I really feel this is most satisfying and most rewarding specialty.
So, given the diverse areas you cover, how do you balance preventive care like nutrition, vaccination, growth monitoring with treatment of acute conditions in your practice?
Actually, pediatrics is a little bit different from other specialities because most of the other specialities we treat diseases. In pediatrics also we treat diseases, but an equal or more importance is given to the well-being of the child. As you know, when a child is born, we have to take care of the newborn period. We have to do a lot of immunization, vaccinations. We have to monitor the growth. We have to monitor the development and nutrition. Such aspects are more there in pediatrics. So, other than treating illnesses, we have to give a lot of importance for the normal well-being of the baby, because if the baby is not growing up properly, for example, if a 4-year-old child is not having enough weight or enough height, that is a concern because that will reduce their immunity, that will make them more prone for getting infections. So our main aim is to keep them protected, to help them to grow better and in a very healthy way, and in that way we have to prevent maximum diseases from them.
So you have authored 2 books on pediatric and neonatal care. Could you please shed light on what inspired you to write them and what are the key messages you hope parents and caregivers will take away from these books?
Yes, actually, in 2018, I started my social media Facebook page mainly to give awareness talks. Okay, through my social media Facebook pages, I give health talks mainly based on pediatric women and child health. Okay. So, as we know, like nowadays, most of the parents, they are very well educated and we have a lot of information in our fingertips, like Google, anything, like now Chat GPT. So, whatever is there, like they just search. But the problem in healthcare is like whenever they are searching regarding the medical knowledge, they may not be getting the proper information because Google, ChatGPT, they are not like qualified doctors. So what all data they have, they are just giving to you. It can be wrong, it can be right. So then I thought, okay, like other than treating diseases, a doctor has the responsibility to educate the society also. We have the responsibility to tell them what is wrong and what is right. So I thought, okay, like I can use the social media. It's a very powerful tool. So I started using the social media for giving health talks. Then after maybe 5 to 6 years, whenever you are giving a talk, the reproducibility is a little bit less. Okay, because the talks which I have made years back, I may not be able to recover it like now. Okay, it is difficult. It would have been gone like in the past. So I thought, okay, like why can't I write a book? Okay, because I have done a lot of talks. So compiling everything together, just like a handbook. As I told you, my initial book was on general pediatrics. That means from birth till 18 years. That is a pediatric period. In those 18 years, what are things you should know, the parents should know regarding the normal well-being of a baby. For example, if your child is 5 years old, what is a normal height you are expecting? What is a normal weight you are expecting? And what are the food items you should give? Nutrition, diet, and so many things. Development. Actually, development is a area like which most of the parents don't have much idea about, because when a baby is born, the baby is like completely helpless, cannot do anything. But at 6 months, the baby starts to roll over. At 1 year, the baby starts to walk. And by 1.5 to 2 years, the baby starts to run. So that is a development of the brain. So that is very important. So each mother or each father, everybody should know what all things a baby or a child should do at each specific ages. And vaccination, most of the people, they just give the vaccination. They don't know for what purpose we are giving each vaccine. So I just thought, okay, I will give these basic informations regarding vaccination, diet, growth, development, all those things. So my first book was regarding that. Just now, 2 months back, I released my second book that is entirely based on newborn care. As you know, like everywhere, there are a lot of misinformations or misconceptions regarding the newborn care. So, for example, like, most of the babies in the newborn period will be having jaundice, that yellow color of the skin. Still, we believe just showing to the sunlight will cure that. Okay, but that is a misconcept. It has no scientific evidence. So there are a lot of things like that. Okay, so I thought, okay, in the first 6 months, what all things we should know about a newborn care, how to take care of their skin, how to take care of their feeding. Just like that, I entirely covered as much as possible. I try to cover the newborn period.
What are the biggest challenges you see in neonatal care today? And how does Medcare address them?
As we know, maybe 15, 20 years back, you cannot imagine a newborn of 500 grams, 600 grams surviving. Okay, 20, 25 years back, we never had such equipments. We never had those technical supports, ICU care. So a newborn who are born very preterm, maybe 6 months, 7-month baby with a 500 gram, 600 gram birth weight, most of the time the baby would die. But now it is not like that. We are able to make those babies who are born with less than 1 kilograms, like in 500, 600 grams, or even 25, 26 weeks. That means like just completing 5 or 6 months pregnancy, we are able to save them. So that is mainly because of the technology. We know we have high-end ventilators, we have high-end respiratory support machines, and a lot of evidence-based treatment modalities. In that way, actually Medcare is having a very excellent newborn care ICU. In our ICU, we have a lot of babies who are less than 1 kilograms have been saved. And the most important thing is not only to save them, to make them grow without any disabilities. Earlier, maybe 20 years back, though those babies were like alive, some of the babies would have gone for cerebral palsy, like some mental disabilities, physical disabilities, just like that, because of the prematurity. But nowadays, we are able to make them live just like a normal child. So that is a great achievement. And in Medcare especially, we are having an excellent team, including very specialized newborn staff nurses, and neonatology services.
So, what are the most common nutritional issues you observe in infants locally, and what advice do you typically give to parents to prevent them?
As we all know, in UAE, the main problem is junk food. Yeah, we have a lot of food delivery systems here. Not only in UAE, everywhere it is there. But especially here, the children are mainly like little bit addicted to the fast food, processed food, and junk food.
This is
So
that I've noticed
everywhere.
Yes.
So the parents know, most of the time, they reward them with such food. They show their love by giving such food. I always used to say, this is not your love. This should not be the way you should show your love. This is equal to you are giving a bad health or a bad future for your child. Because if you are showing your love like this, your child will be used to take these kind of junk food, and that will become a part of their life. And they will stop eating good healthy food like vegetables, fruits, all those things. So here we see a lot of childhood obesity.
Right.
Okay, we are seeing 6-year-old, 7-year-old with 40, 50 kilograms. So it is clearly proven that obesity, not only the childhood obesity, generally obesity is the key reason or the root cause for all the metabolic problems nowadays we are seeing in young adults. For example, all these hypertension, diabetes, metabolic diseases or heart problems, all these kind of, we will generally call it as a lifestyle diseases or metabolic syndrome diseases. Obesity is the root cause. So if you are preventing obesity in your child, and if you are giving good diet for your child, you are not only preventing the childhood obesity, you are preventing a lot of diseases which could have happened to them in their future. So a good nutrition is a must, and avoiding junk food is a main way to that.
How does multilingual communication impact your practice, especially in a multicultural setting like UAE? And do you find it helps build trust with the families here?
I really love it. Actually, that is the main thing I really enjoy. Compared, like as I told you, I was working in India 3 years back. I just started working in Medcare 3 years back from 2023 onwards. But for example, if I'm seeing 10 children in 1 hour, I'll be seeing minimum of 5 to 6 nationalities. So it is very diverse. So I just love engaging with them. I just love talking to them. And we can interact with them. We can see the differences in their culture, in their behavior. It is really, actually, that will take care of the boredom also, because we will never get bored with our practices, because every day we are seeing a lot of nationalities and a lot of culture. So that I really enjoy here.
So, how important do you think public health education and awareness through media or other outlets are for child health? And what are the biggest misconceptions you try to correct?
Actually, nowadays, the biggest problem with social media is the flow of misinformations. You would have heard like the term infodemics, which came up during the COVID time. Because during the COVID time, there was a rush of misinformations through the social media, and the people were all confused. They were not knowing what to believe and what not to believe. So, that is very important, because social media is a double edged sword. It can do good, it can do bad also. It depends on the way how you are using it. So, whenever such wrong informations are coming, especially in the medical field, that can be very dangerous. That can take lives. That is the reason I told you I decided to use the same social media for the good purpose. So, my point is, we, the social, like the medical people, especially doctors, like whoever is working in the medical field, who practice evidence based scientific medicine, we have the responsibility to make the society aware, and to make them aware regarding what is the correct method of treatment and what is the scientific, like the evidence based medicine. Then only we can fight like the negative propaganda people using the same tool. Okay, so such a way, social media is a big platform. You can use it, like you can do podcast, you can do live talks. Like in my page, I usually do live talks. Okay, so that, and I give time for them whenever we are doing lives. We can give time for the followers to ask questions. Okay, I usually give a topic and I will urge them to ask their doubts. Like no, none of us go to the doctors to ask doubts. Whenever we go to them whenever we are getting sick, right? So only for the treatment. So this is a platform where you can ask doubts to the doctors, and I have the opportunity to clear them. So social media is my tool, but I'm just saying, like whatever tool you are using, the medical people, the evidence-based medicine should be spreaded to all over the world. Then only you can fight these kind of misinformation.
You have noticed there are like many fitness coaches who are coming up with Instagram reels and making videos about health issues.
Yeah.
But what I believe, they're not like authorized expert in this, because I have seen their videos. Someone is talking about banana is not good for health. When then another fitness coach is talking about banana is good for health.
Yeah.
So
So that is a problem. Whenever you are seeing somebody talking in the Instagram or Facebook, you don't know like what is their qualification, like who are they? We don't know. We just hear them. Okay. If they can talk well, we will just believe them. Okay. That is a bad thing which is happening nowadays in social media. Actually, what is scaring me more is the emerging psychologists. How many psychologists like you are seeing? Because they will be giving some unknown degrees, like most of them are not qualified enough. Because other than these kind of diet advices, that's okay, but just think about somebody who is giving psychological support to somebody like without knowing the basics. How can it be? So that is the biggest challenge. I can only tell the followers like who are watching these videos, whenever you are seeing or listening to something, just think with your own brain and do a little bit research regarding the person. Try to know who he is or she is and what is their qualification. And after that only follow them.